Oh, is this the, nice. This is the item that we need. Alright, so for those of you guys who are just tuning in here, we are back on our solo self-found Permadeath Beastlord. It's been 2 days since I had time to stream, so unfortunately we couldn't capture all of the content we were doing, but we have gone all the way up to level 15. We just got our second pet spell. And we're about to head over to Kern's and just do some grinding over there for a little bit. We are currently working toward our tier 3 claw quest. The big problem with this one is that we're gonna need to acquire an egg. We have to craft food and drink for a missing Beastlord out in Warslick's woods. But lacking an egg and lacking a great way to acquire an egg on Kunark, we might have to do some tricks to get one. I'm thinking we might have to purchase a cloudy potion and head over to Freeport and kill snakes until we get some eggs. It also involves a pretty rare foraged item, which we fortunately literally just foraged as we were running through the field of bone. But there is a good chance that this can fail. It's got like a trivial of 36 for both the baking and the brewing section. So I'm gonna have to do some skilling up before we mess with it, because I would hate to have to reforage this item. Yeah, we need to make a Legion Lager and noodles. A Legion Lager is a 36 brewing trivial, requires dead bone barley, which we just got, a giant blood sack, and a flask of blood water. The blood sack we've already got. We got those like early on from some of the farming we were doing in Swamp of No Hope. The noodles are pretty easy to make. It's just flour, water, and any kind of egg with a 31 trivial. I'm not really sure, Captain. I haven't done many Eldons. I'm pretty sure they pretty much all level ranges after 20. You could do an Eldon as long as your group level is relatively close. Are they good at 35? I would assume that they are basically never good, to be honest. So all the skeletons in this zone are not on a faction, which means they're not social. So with a pet or any spell, you can pretty trivially split any room with skeletons. Yeah, we got one this morning, village. Corman saw the jester up with the club in hand, and he already had his club, so he was like, hey, this is down here if anybody wants it. Yeah, it's nice. I also got my pet at the same level. Within a few kills of killing the jester, I hit 15 and got my new pet, so it's kind of hard to see what's what. But I definitely feel a lot more powerful. What level are you now, village? I suppose I could just open the guild tool. 15, getting there. I reached a point where it's really hard for me to pull aggro off my pet when he's got Spirit of Lightning on. Just because the proc generates a ton of aggro. For now it's fine, but usually I assume it's going to be a big problem for me like the last level or two of each pet spread when he's relatively weak compared to whatever I'm grinding against. What are you working on coin for? Just like smithing and stuff? Yeah, Kearns is definitely like the wrong place to be for smithing, unfortunately. Nothing but bone chips. Oh, 70, man. Honestly, I think you should be able to make most of your bandit at 70. It's just a matter of like, you know, succeeding on the attempts. But if I were you right now, I would be attempting the various bandit slots. Lanterns only go up to like what, 70, 72, right? Nice, that's not bad. Yeah, that's rough. I got a pile of plat, but I haven't really spent any. Like, these mixing bowls are basically all I've bought. There's a quest for a tunic that I can do that requires me to have 4 of these froglock tuck bucklers. I've killed like 15 of them and I've gotten 2 bucklers, and they're out in the middle of Swamp of No Hope, so it's kind of like a relatively dangerous venture, and I'm quickly out leveling the range where I would even care about the tunic, so I'm thinking about just dropping that. Yeah, exactly. Like, Field of Bone is honestly not bad plat. Killing bandits and selling scorpion pincers and the occasional Targ shield. And then those like Rusty Shantoks are a couple gold apiece. So in case anyone hasn't already seen this, this is the weapon we're using. It comes from a level 15 mob in the bottom of Kearns called the Undead Jester. Or the Skeleton Jester, one of the two. This is just a natural vanilla Kunark drop. Totally crazy. The ratio is nuts. By classic standards, this weapon is better than like a yak. 718 is just such a crazy ratio. It's borderline. It's almost as good as like a Ghoulbane ratio. Ghoulbane is like 2.2 ratio. This is 2.5 ratio. And then, I mean, that doesn't even factor in the Fleeting Fury proc, the 4 strength, 4 wisdom. It's really great. I want to farm the Icebone Skeletons to get the glowing skull and potentially some Brain Eye armor, but I don't really want to go in the basement. Seems like fighting the Brain Eye down there is like a really good way to die. Oh yeah, Sean, they did such a great job with the quest lines in Cabalus. Like, you could tell like they did it because the Ixar are supposed to be like kind of like loners. They depend on themselves and everyone else hates them, so they had to include a lot of quests to accommodate that new race, and it makes it really, really enjoyable to play as them. If every city in Classic had as many quests as like the Ixar had in Cabalus and the rest of Kunark, the game would really be Everquest. I'll go upstairs and try them up there then, village. Seems like way safer than going in the basement. Looks like he is incorrect. Here's what we could do to confirm really quick. Watch this. Boom. Beastlord can equip. Yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't, Captain. Yeah, there's definitely no reason that I can think of not to use kick. It's just part of your like melee tool set if you happen to be up close with the mob. Yeah, this club is good, and I'm not even maxed out on my one-hand blunt yet because I had like no training in it before acquiring this. Krychek, he perished at level 6, I want to say, 6 or 7. I don't know, Charm, like, my Beastlord pet can't even solo blues without my help. His damage is really good, though. I would definitely say the permadeath aspect of SSF is a little bit harder in Kunark because like the newbie areas are so much more dangerous than most of the newbie areas on like Fadewar or Antonica. I haven't even seen him yet, but I mean there's like Manslayers out there and all the scorpions and stuff that are pretty high level, and never mind the Burning Eye with their Spirit of Wolf and Necro spells and Harm Touch. Guth, my pally, died at level 41 in Lower Guck. You could do !RIP if you want to see the clip of my Paladin's final moments, Guth. Yeah, I mean, definitely in Kerns, basically none of the skeletons have weapons except for like that femur that they'll carry. In the Field of Bone, there's some, but the weapons tend to be pretty valuable, except for we don't get any cracked staffs. I really like the Kunark weapon models. They look so much cooler than the classic ones. Let my pet go kill this Grey Con while I sit here. Hopefully my pet will just work this Grey without any problems. Yeah, so there's a pretty decent gear set in here. Burning Eye Hide that drops from some of the high level skeletons. I'd love to farm some of it. But the basement is just such a death trap here that I don't want to go over there. This guy is 3 levels lower than my pet. And my pet, even buffed right now, is losing. 3 levels lower than my pet. I might have set 3 levels higher. What's going on, Maze? Alright, the pet won. Hito Kiru, how's it going, dude? What's going on, Tamina? Yep, This is actually my tier 2 pet. We're rocking that level 15. We have an Ixar Berserker Club. It depends on the ore type. Village. Yeah, it's ominous. So the last 2 days, well, 2 days ago we had the scheduled downtime. So I was going to stream that day, but the whole period of the day that I was free to stream, the servers were down. So I played a little bit at night, late night. And then yesterday I had a lot of meetings and stuff going on with work, like video conferencing. So I could play a little bit on the side, but I wasn't going to have any kind of extended period of time where I could like be in chat and talk to people. So I just couldn't stream, unfortunately. It's a lot of fun. I like it a lot. Hope everyone is safe and healthy, Maze. Level 1, it's a good number of people. So yeah, for anyone in chat who's been thinking about trying an SSF character, we've got a little crew of people who are all doing it together. We're just having fun in guild chat as we all solo our way. People have different levels of their commitment to the rule set. Some people are just like me. They're totally solo self-found. No zones like outside of Classic Kunark. Permadeath turned on. Some people are just SSF. They can go to whatever zones they want that are open, or they're just SSF and there's no permadeath. So it's really up to you. The only minimum standard is that you are solo and self-found. Mushnar, thanks for the follow. Level 1, I'm 100%. No buffs, no ports, no zones outside of Classic and Kunark. Unless it's like, because I'm a Beastlord, some of my spells might only be accessible through a Luckland zone, like Shadowhaven. That's the only exception I'll make. If I die, it's game over. Surfer Jeff, it doesn't. As long as I do some damage, then I'll get fully XP. Yeah, poor Liak, you're on what, you're like 5th or 6th character now? So chat, I know we talked about briefly, when we first started on Mangler, we were like, oh yeah, they unlocked Gates of Discord, so the EXP rate here is slightly faster than it would have been on Aridune. What we found out was that the EXP increase actually hadn't turned on. So the first couple days that we were doing this character and the 2 shamans before this, it was actually exactly the same EXP rate as Aridune. That's when I was like killing all those even and yellow cons. I was like, what the hell, dude? How am I only getting like 1 or 2% per kill still? Yeah, that's really rough, Liak, man. Level 1 line, thanks for the follow, man. Appreciate it. Do you feel like you're getting like better with the playstyle, Liak? Or is it always just kind of like something random that stupidly gimps you? Oh, that reminds me, I forgot to buy bandages. Yeah, Beastlord at 9 is like you're just starting to get to the good spot. I'm excited because my next level I get dual wield. I'm in kind of a sticky situation here. I want to use this, but I can't use it in my offhand. It's primary only. Which means I'd have to put my better weapon in the secondary slot. Kind of a bummer. Uh-oh. Some scum. Hey, happy to do it, user. There are so many creative ways to still enjoy this old game. Level 1 line, it stands for solo self found. If you do !SSF in the chat, it'll give you a little blurb explaining it. This guy is AEing the zone to power level someone. He was in Field of Bone earlier with like 3 bards or something crazy. It'd be cool if my pet showed up. See, this is this guy's box crew over here. Yeah, we got an SSF guild going over here. Anybody who, you know, just wants to come try to do the same thing, they're welcome to join us. Get some moral support, have someone to talk to in guild chat while you do your long, slow grind. Look out, Corman. I don't really know what this guy's doing. He's like not attacking it with any of his characters. Yeah, absolutely. You just got to meet me somewhere in a zone. All of our members, like we set it so that recruits can invite people, so you just need to meet any one of our people in a zone and we can invite you. Shoot me a tell on your character. I'll origin out that way and toss you a tag, Tamna. Yeah, Leok, you definitely have the record. I haven't even bought most of these spells. They just seem not good. But Strengthen seems like it could be good. Summon Drink. That's a yes. Drowsy at 20. That'll be great. Oh yeah, we want to get bandages. So Legion Lager, Trivial 36. Got to get my brewing up. What I could do, there's some brewing combine you could do to like stupid high with like fishing grubs, right? I just need to find a distillery. Oof, 6 plat for 100 bandages. That's expensive. I'm not really positive where I can do brewing in Cabalus. Oh, over there, I see it, by the bank. I've got to do this manually because it's too high. It's going to be very painful. You know, I have some skill points I can put into this before we do any more skill ups. So how does the Ogre feel compared to the Ixar? Does he feel like way more powerful? Are you really noticing the stats and the stun immunity? Sean, I've got to brew Legion Lager in some noodles for my next quest for my claw. Basically, there is like a lost Beastlord out there, and he is too weak to make it home, so he needs food and drink to sustain him. But he's also really picky about what he eats and drinks, so I've got to make this ridiculous concoction for him. The best part is I require eggs. And I don't know if you've been around Kunark very much, but there's not exactly an abundance of egg propagating mammals. Mammal's probably the wrong term, but you know what I'm saying. It's not easy to find. So the stuff that I have to make for him has a trivial of 36, and it uses a really rare foraged item. This dead bone barley. It took me like 20 forage attempts in Field of Bone to finally get some, so I don't want to waste it. You know what I mean? I want to get all the way up to the trivial before I mess with trying this. It is on Mangler, but they only sell them in Plane of Knowledge, and I'm not trying to use Plane of Knowledge during this run. Oh, we're good now. So we successfully made one, which now means that we can experiment and just like auto-craft it. Trivial 122. What's going on, Wonker? Yeah, that seems pretty rare to me, Liak. I need to get brewing up just for one of the quest lines I need to do, Wonker. I need to brew a special drink for one of the NPCs. Yeah, Zion, the Pally died at level 41 in Lower Guck. You could check out the clip of him dying if you type in !RIP in chat. Hey, thanks. Thanks. Yeah, one more level and we'll finally have dual wield. So this is the current claw I have. The next one I get is a 922, which I believe is a better ratio than the XR Berserker Club. I think this is what, like a 2.5, and 922 is a 2.4. Yeah, so that will justify me being able to, you know, throw the club in the offhand at that point. I don't think Bury Night count as animals, Village. Yeah, I got the club. I went down there, and I was able to kill him pretty easily with my nukes and stuff. Now, I'm not trying to mess with any of the Bury Night down there, though, because that's like a death sentence. Yep, Oobly, got that level 16. Feels good. Yeah, got hit by that outdoor zone aggro. Oh, you know what's going to be crazy later on, Leok? When we're doing like some of the big outdoor zones in Kunark, and we have like Gornair actually up in the open world, Talendor rolling around and stuff. How crazy would it be to get like almost to 50 and then your run is killed by Talendor? I don't even know if I would feel bad. Be like, all right, at least it was a dragon this time. I can't believe I'm about to do 100 combines for 5 skill ups right now. So we made a 3 out of 100. 3% success rate. And the third one was on our 100th combine. Yeah, this is on Mangler. You should come check it out. It's a lot of fun. Well, monks have a lot of advantages. So their DPS output is, of course, super high. If you're an Ixar, you've got bonus regen and AC. Some great quest lines that you could do either as a monk, human monk, or an Ixar monk. So you're gonna have some good gear options available to you. And they have Mend and Bind Wound. Once you get over 200, I want to say Bind Wound for monks, even on TLP servers, goes up to 75%. So you can Bind Wound almost all the way to max. This is ridiculous. Did someone park this here intentionally to make the ladder unusable? It wouldn't be almost easy. It would be actually just easy, Surfer. All right, another 300 combinations. Let's get this. So I'm reading that potentially the lower level cockatrices don't even drop cockatrice eggs, which could be a big problem if we want to go that route. Not the fetid essence is just a super cheap way to skill up your brewing, which I need to do to complete one of my quests. I've got to make a Legion brew, something like that, to give to some guy. I believe that is correct, Fuzzy Slippers. The other factor to account for is that when you're crafting, a success is worth more towards a skill up than a failure, which is why I'm skilling up so slowly here. But you're able to just brute force it because this is so cheap. No, village, don't die, dude. Find a way to survive. Oof, like a villain, strafe run. Yeah, maybe come back later. It's not worth ending the whole run for an early quest completion. Yeah, but he's swimming, Leox, so even with Spirit of Wolf, his movement speed is going to be super low. No, SSF Cleric's actually really powerful. The undead nukes they get are hyper mana efficient and super good, so you could do SSF Cleric like on Aridune. It pretty much do like local undead areas into Undead Island, into Unrest, into Lower Guck, and you'd make it. 100% you'd make it, unless you had like a real dumb moment like I had. Yeah, it's gonna be hard to get eggs. So I could go to the over there and hunt cockatrices, but it's suggesting to me that only the high level cockatrices drop eggs. It seems like the best method would be to simply buy 2 cloudy potions. No, I would need to buy 4 cloudy potions and go to the common lands and hunt snakes. You should do it, Ooblies. We're all on Mangler. Give it a go. Bard could be tough. It's worth trying a Bard. Shadow Knight is a little bit more straightforward. Yeah, that Spider Cave would be nice, especially with the fixed EXP rates, Leoc. Oh, man. We're probably good. We've got like 38 now. I really don't want to fail this, but I think we'll be fine. I need to buy a flask of blood water and a bottle. Right, I need that fight milk. Or what is... Yeah, fight milk. That's the one from Sunny. Exactly. No, auto run. Why do you do this to me? Yeah, I think Rogue and Warrior are definitely the two most difficult SSF runs. Rogue really close to impossible. All right, so we've got our bottle, our blood water, our barley, and our giant blood sack. You know what'll be cool? We can probably farm J-boots and like Pegasus cloaks on this run without too much competition. I suppose I don't really need J-boots though. All right, we are 4 points above the trivial. There's always a chance that you could just randomly fail. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Hey, oh no. I lack the skills to fashion the item that is 4 points below my current trivial standing. Excellent. Screams internally. I think I can only forage it like in the Field of Bone area. Like in the actual pit. There's a named beetle or spider that we could potentially encounter as we run through here that drops nice pants. Say hi to good old JD as we run through here. Yeah, the shaman died at like level 6 grizzly. Person just like AFK with pet going. I remember now, we left Currents because there was that idiot pulling everything to power level his character. Gonna wait the last like 20 seconds here to get one more forge attempt. Malker, I haven't seen any zones that would have a pick. Usually I'm like one of 5 people max in a zone. I'm not a big fan of the fact that Ixar have like a hard cap on their forage skill, which is relatively low, and they still have to forage a ton of items for all their quests. It's kind of like a weird, pointless time sink. All right, good. The guy left. I was thinking about that as I said it, Knots. This is a slightly weirder and more pointless time sink than average. Village, I would take that as a sign. I really don't mind the foraging. It's just kind of like weird that I'm foraging in a zone where like by the time I get the quest, the zone that I have to do the foraging in is no longer really an EXP spot for me, you know what I mean? It'd be like a different thing if we were foraging it in like this zone. Payneal's awesome. I really like Payneal, and now on this server the Warrens are open, so the Payneal would be incredible. That sounds like E-Cube to me, Leok. I think some of your previous deaths were like more sketch than that. Specific lore, Peniel. All right, Cretan. So, way back in the day, all the erudites lived in Erudin following their departure from Kanos, following the great sorcerer Erud. They originally had 3 schools of magic, which was just, wizardry, magicianry, I don't know, wizards, mages, and enchanters. But then, one young erudite began studying a 4th school of magic. Well, first, actually, he studied the other 3. And then, having mastered those 3, he studied a 4th. A new school of magic. That erudite was none other than Miracle, of course. So, not necessarily directly because of him, but following the discovery of necromancy by the erudites and the slow increase in practice of it, it was, of course, banned. And those erudites who chose to continue practicing necromancy were branded heretics. So originally they were ousted and forced to live in the Toxulia forest, kind of hiding amongst the wood there. But they set about their necromantic minions to mining their way through the mountains, I want to say to the north, a small mountain range to the north. And eventually they dug a vast hole in the earth where they built a city. That city would come to be known as Peniel. Eventually a civil war would erupt as the necromancers, aka the heretics, became more powerful. And the civil war finally ended when the erudites used the magical nuclear missile and literally destroyed a huge section of Peniel. Actually, I'm getting this mixed up. I'm getting the order reversed here. So I think they got in the Civil War first. The massive hole was blown into the earth, inadvertently transferring the Vashir, the Karens who lived there at the time, to Luckland through magical means. Then the Civil War pretty much ended. They entered a Cold War period. The defeated erudite heretics then built a city in the hole and continued digging it deeper. Well, that's what happened. And after digging further, they eventually breached the seal, opening a portal to the underfoot, Brel's sacred domain. When they did that, hundreds or thousands of powerful elementals poured forth, slaughtering all the erudites they could find who had trespassed in their domain. This gave rise to what we know as the Zone, the Hole, which is filled with powerful elemental monstrosities and the ghosts of dead heretics who were there and were slain where they stood. So that's the specific lore for the Peniel area. Following that disaster, they retreated into what we now know as Peniel, a much smaller and weaker group of heretics. Yeah, sorry, I got that mixed up at first. The poor heretics just had so many setbacks. For his part, though, Miracle was never actually a big part of Peniel, to my knowledge. Like, he didn't really ever care about settling down, stopping anywhere, or any kind of like cities, like power in that sense. He was always just trying to learn more. So after he had mastered the 4 schools of magic, or as much as he could master them, he went to Neriak and studied with the Dark Elves for a long time. You can pretty much chart a path along where Miracle went by looking at the fire pots, which are colloquially known as Miracle's Highway. There's one in the aqueducts of Kanos. There's one in Toxulia Forest. There's one in Neriak. There is one in Lesser Fadark. And there might be a few more around there. Old school lurker, my normal main would be a monk. Alright, Sicarius Shadow, local lore. So this is Kern's Tower. It was constructed in the time of Ryle Sathir, who took over the Ixar Empire following the sort of death of Venril Sathir, his father. We know VS eventually came back to life, inhabiting the body of his son Ryle much later, but As it stands, this tower was constructed in the time of Ryle. It was a place for strange experiments to be conducted, and for, of course, Kern himself, the leader of the tower, to do vicious interrogations on people who were potential enemies of the Ixar Empire. For his part, Kern was, he developed a reputation for being quite the interrogator. Everyone was afraid of him. The person who we associate with the Crypt of Dalnir, not Dalnir himself, who was like a haggle baron, but one of the big leaders over there, was actually commissioned by Kern to construct a magical dagger for him, which he did. He took a Sarnak slave that he had, his most trusted slave, a forge, and went personally to Kern's tower. While he was there, he made this really nice dagger for Kern, which you can get via a quest related to this zone. However, while he was there, Kern discovered that this practitioner was practicing forbidden magic, which basically for the Ixar is anything that's not shaman or necromancy-based magic. So I think this guy was like practicing, he was an Ixar who was practicing wizardry and enchanter-type spells. Anyway, the guy who made the dagger for Kern was then, once he completed it, imprisoned and interrogated and killed for his crimes. And his Sarnak servant was sent back to the Crypt of Dalnir while being accompanied by 4 Ixar Crusaders of the Green Mist. Their little trip went missing partway there. They were never found. That Sarnak would go on to give rise to the Klai, which took over the Crypt of Dalnir. If you go there now, they are the group that controls it, and that's why they know Enchanter and Wizard magic, because they learned it from that Sarnak who learned it from his master, who was an apostate. Eventually, Kern's own cruelty would, of course, be his downfall. One of the people that he kept imprisoned here escaped their shackles, made their way to the basement, and they were able to dig a tunnel out of Kern's tower. But once they left, the Burinai discovered this tunnel and began burrowing in. When they found what was going on here, even though they're evil of their own nature, they decided that they needed to destroy it as much as possible, so they invaded and largely wrecked and destroyed everything in the tower. That's the lore of Kern's tower. As to why Kern personally isn't here, I don't know. I think it is basically like just unfinished or missed content. I think Kern was originally intended to be in this zone. But the leader of the Burinai is named to spawn in the basement here. And the Burinai, of course, worship Inaruk, at least so far as I can tell from some sources. Hey, ABQ, how's it going? An undead crusader roams here. Wonder what he drops. Glad you enjoyed it, Scarius. Wonker, I have all the EQRPG books and I read them a lot. I've got the Maps of Mirrors, which I use. I use that source with like a grain of salt because some of the stuff in here is like nonsense. Then, of course, a lot of quests and stuff that I've done in actual EverQuest over the years and just talking to NPCs. Yeah, my pet, because I just got him last level, he was yellow con to me. Now he's even con. Mr. Jones, the Visceral Dagger is the dagger I was talking about. I was trying to think of what the name was. But yeah, you got it. Mr. Jones, I'm already rocking the XR Berserker Club. Yeah, Luckland lore is really good. Very underrated, I think. I really enjoy the Shisar lore. Kadishah, people hopefully know this. Kadishah was basically created by the Shisar. He was a famous Vashir bard who traveled the land and went missing one day. He was abducted by the Shisar, and they were following the orders of their emperor, trying to make a god, and what they made was Kadishah. There's a note you can find somewhere in the game about Kadishah. Is like a note from the Shisar experimenters who worked on Kadishah to Emperor Sra, letting him know that they failed. And it's actually like a really cool note to read. Like the closing words from it are like, you know, like, dread Emperor, we beg for forgiveness. We can't do it. We can't make a god. And then Kadishah, like, you know, kills them all. Yeah, cockatrices are the only ones I can think of, Mr. Jones. The problem is, according to Allah, only like the level 39 plus cockatrices actually drop eggs. So we're probably just gonna go get a cloudy potion and run to Freeport, kill some snakes. Huh, I'm not sure. I assume it gets consumed, but we'll try it after this. Met up really quick since we're about to try yellow. I couldn't find specific lore on the Sarnak fort in Lake Omen, but from what I've seen in the past and like looking at the context of it, I know it's an ancient fortress. That's what they refer to it as. So we know the Sarnak didn't create it. Most likely it was created by the Ixar. Since there really are no surviving Shisar structures on Kunark. Given its proximity to the old city of Vexar, we can assume it was kind of like a auxiliary defensive position to ensure that there couldn't be an effective assault on Vexar. It gets consumed. It's cool seeing that little, like, you can actually, like, watch the stone be thrown. But yeah, there's like level 18 cockatrices in over there. It just says they don't drop cockatrice eggs, unfortunately. Would he resist my Blast of Frost? Rip? Oh, one last thing about Kern's Tower. There are some sources that state that Ryle Sathir's son, Atrebe Sathir, created the Sarnak in this tower, though we don't see a lot of evidence of that in game. Like, you would expect to see some homages to Sarnak, or maybe even some actual Sarnak present if that was the case. Well, Guardian, we want it to be an Ixar, and we're also playing a Beastlord, so it just wouldn't be possible on Aerodune. Thanks for the follow, by the way, Guardian. Hey, good morning, Superman. How's it going, dude? Mr. Jones, yeah, it's a pretty significant jump. It's funny because, like, we thought the EXP increase was in from the get-go. I was like, man, like, it's a very, very marginal increase looking at what I was getting. But yeah, once they actually put it in, it was good. Yeah, Beastlord is Lucklin. When a server unlocks Gates of Discord, it gets a marginal EXP increase. It's not live EXP, but it's more than classic EXP. Uh-oh, we got some loot. Rip, reinforced. Gates of Discord. I think it's really cool, Mr. Jones. I think that'd be a really cool run. It would take a lot of planning beforehand, but I think it would be neat. You would definitely have to do like a big tour of all the newbie zones. I'd do like Peniel first because it's got the lowest average mob level. Even like Toxulia. Actually, no, you could do Tox way later because of the Karens. But I definitely think I would start with Peniel. Hey, Optical, thank you so much for following. Kano Sewers, the thing is you could do those at like level 49, you know what I mean? You could level up on specs way late in the game. But I think I would go Peniel into West Freeport, into North Kanos. No, I think we would have to include at least Kunark and Velius. Yeah, we talked about it, and Bobby said that he would use POK because you would be bouncing all around the world all the time. I do like level 30 in Soul A. No, I do like level 34 in Soul A, 32 in Soul A. That's what I do, 32. Level 32 to 33, I do Soul A. Classic would be pretty much impossible to do one level per zone up to 50 because like once you do Soul B, Lower Guck, Kanos Catacombs, and South Row, and Catch Keep, it's like, uh-oh, suddenly we're out of zones. Permafrost Basement, I suppose. You could technically hit level 50 killing a Hill Giant in Wrath Mountains. Oh yeah, you could do High Keep way late. You could do like a 49 at High Keep if you wanted. I forgot that it's going to take my pet 10 minutes to run down here because of the poor pathing. A lot of the guards have been nerfed to give little or no EXP to discourage people from farming them, unfortunately. I would say we should do this on like the Cello server. Yeah, it does, Mr. Jones. Yeah. Honestly, we could do it on Mangler. They've got POK open. That's really all you need. I wouldn't even use Luckland Zones. I think Luckland Zones would make it too easy. It's just like another big heaping pile of 1 through 60. You know, you could do 1 through 60 just in Luckland. Yeah, Celos is getting ready for ROF to be over, I think. They're over halfway through. Oh, sweet, dual wield is in. Yeah, EXP is good with the pet. Yeah, Leafy Greens. The Celos Guild is still splitting raids. They've got 2 full raids, and they raid like 7 out of 7 days a week almost. I kind of wanted to finish the Skull quest, but we're like out leveling Kerns. I really am nervous about going to the basement of Kerns. Wait, am I not KOS to Braineye yet? Oh, they're scowling at me, man. We might go run to Antonica now to get some snake eggs. Maybe we'll kill some stuff over there while we're there. Who knows? Dude, Mr. Jones, I know. It's like, how disconnected could they be from the reality? No, I don't think I've ever killed a single Braineye yet. It might be their default KOS to Ixar, but not to other races. Trachanon killed Ryle Sathir. It was actually like it was the thing that Trachanon did that sparked the war between the Ring of Scale and the Ixar Empire. So I can only assume that when Trachanon killed Ryle, he took the crown and the sword of Ryle, and they somehow ended up in Faradar, who was the leader of the... Well, they probably wound up just in the general treasure store of the Ring of Scale, and being that Faradar is now the leader, we get them from her. There's a named carrion beetle in FOB that is worth camping because it drops like some nice pants, I think. But I'm not sure how rare it is. Yeah, a lot of like newbie zone rares have a rarity tuned in anticipation of there being like hundreds of newbies killing everything, you know what I mean? So they're like, okay, if this is like a 30% chance mob and there's 100 XR in here killing 24/7, it'll basically always be up. So we'll crank it down to like 2%, and then people will still see it like every couple hours. But then when you're just like the solo XR and Field of Bone, it means you're never going to see it. All right, had to burn our forge there. Trying to think of other expansions where I think like the Crescent Reach expansion is basically the only other one user. Spiders don't drop eggs. Unfortunately. So we're gonna go to the Alchemy Vendor in West Cab, get our cloudy potions. And then we'll run to Warslick's Woods, the over there, and roll out. So a lot of alchemy supplies. That's sort of convenient location. I need 6 gold. Turtle, thank you so much for the follow. Oof, can you imagine eating a spider egg? What? You know, there's actually one really cool dungeon that they added later in the game, user. That one with all the bees. Every time I go there, I'm like, wow, this is actually a ton of fun. What is my pet doing in here? Yeah, Mr. Jones, Stone Hive. I love that dungeon. That's awesome. You can go like all the way up to like 55 in Stonehive or something crazy. Like the queen, the boss of Stonehive, is very challenging. Whoa, Hidokiru, thank you so much for hitting that 2-month streak. I really appreciate your decision to continue supporting the stream. I hope you continue to enjoy it, man. Yeah, that's the one-off Blightfire user. If you've never been there, it really is a blast. You got to go check it out. It's like, it's weird because in the later expansions, you don't really expect well-designed dungeons anymore, but that one stands out to me. You know, I enjoyed the visual style of a lot of Dragons of Norath content, Sicarius. The expansion just kind of was a little bit meh because it was kind of like underwhelming in terms of difficulty and the quality of the gear and everything. You know what I mean? It was almost like a sidestep. It was like another Legacy Kesha. But visually, man, it was crazy. It's just like you see these giant dragons and they feel like they are not as powerful as they ought to be given their size and scope and scale. I feel like what we're doing right now is super dangerous. Like, I remember there being some pretty well-leveled enemies in Warslicks. I don't know how much time there was between DON and the expansion that followed. Was it Omens of War, DON, DODH? I feel like I'm missing one. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Omens of War and GOD were so difficult when they came out back in the day. I think the EQ population needed DON. They needed some content that was easy, that could revive guilds and say, hey, like, you don't have to be the cutting-edge hardcore to be able to raid anymore. So I think DON served a purpose at the time. It just feels bad now when you go in crushing all the previous content and then it gets even easier. Arvis, I think the dev was on Sean's stream and they confirmed that that's kind of like just a rumor. Mr. Jones, were you? Oh, I should watch out for that. Witch Doctor. Mr. Jones, were you there for that stream? The dev who did Gates of Discord? I think the bottom line with GOD was just they had a lot to do and they didn't have a lot of time, and a lot of their senior designers were taken away to another company or working on EQ2 at that time. And all those factors combined to make it the expansion that we saw when it launched. But you could tell that there was a lot of quality in Gates of Discord. It was just kind of unpolished, because right now, Gates of Discord is one of the best expansions on the TLP servers. Like, it is so fun. So they had something. It was just a little rough around the edges, and it took a long time to smooth it out. Unfortunately, EQ was facing some of the greatest competition it was ever going to face at the time, and it was not the period in which they could afford to put out unpolished content. I'm right there with you, Mr. Jones. It's one of my favorite expansions. I loved everything about it. I like the Discordians. I think the visual design is very appealing. The raids are a lot of fun, and they're a big step up. The gear all seems cool. So my favorite era of EverQuest is Classic. But expansions, my 3 favorite would be Depths of Dark Hollow, Gates of Discord, and Lucklin. Yeah, race car is cancer. Super not fun. But it could be worse, right? Like, every expansion basically has one raid where you're like, wow, I hate this. And when you measure race car against some of the other raids we hate, like Vex Thal, it's not so bad. So it looks like we could actually come to over there and grind out here right now if we wanted to. Oh man, I love Depths of Dark Hollow. I think the raids are super fun. I think they're very challenging. I think Depths of Dark Hollow is where I draw the line between old EQ and new EQ, basically. Like, Depths of Dark Hollow and everything after that is a different game than everything before it. And Gates of Discord and beyond, like Gates of Discord through DON is kind of like a little transition period, you know what I mean? But it's still a lot more like classic EQ than it is like Depths of Dark Hollow. Dude, imagine how bad it must feel when your title and your society is flunky. What do? I'm a flunky. Yikes. Let's try this cockatrice. Maybe we'll get super lucky. It's kind of hard to put my finger on it, always a Yordle. The game just feels different. Everything about it feels different as you're playing. The raids are certainly far different because, like, Tank and Spank becomes pretty much strictly a thing of the past. Content is almost exclusively instanced. What's going on, Woopa? So the open world aspect of EQ starts to fade away. And there's good and bad about it. The good is that the content seems more tailored, more focused on providing a challenge than previous content might have been. But there's less unintended player interaction, which I think is also a big part of the beauty of original EQ. But what I would recommend, honestly, the perfect way to do it is to hop on one of the progression servers and actually get to experience all those steps of the content yourself, and you'll get a feel for it. You also get so many abilities and powers and things like that you're no longer playing the same way. Like, just piloting your character is different. Right now, you know, you see me playing this Beastlord. I send my pet into attack. I turn on my auto attack. Every now and then I hit kick if I'm not too lazy to press the button, and I talk to chat. But when you're raiding in Depths of Dark Hollow, let's avoid that guy. When you're raiding in Depths of Dark Hollow, you have a series of disciplines. You have to manage all your buffs very carefully. You have tribute to focus on. And then when you're using your discs, you've got to make sure that you pop them in the right order, in sync with other people's discs and short time duration buffs. So there's a lot more micromanaging, a lot more interaction with you as the character. So it's more fine-tuned. It's not quite Twitch gameplay, you know what I mean? Like some other MMOs might be. But just the level of interaction and detail with your character to achieve peak performance is much higher. There are many more actions that you must take in any given combat scenario. And furthermore, in early EQ, especially like Classic and Kunark, peak performance is really kind of irrelevant. But as you get into Depths of Dark Hollow and expansions beyond that, some of the content is actually tuned towards you playing your class very much the appropriate, ideal way. You get to a stage where developers either, if not at first, by the time the expansion is, you know, patched and balanced, they understood what player capabilities were in terms of DPS, in terms of tanking, in terms of like how long they could maintain a burn, and content is balanced around that capability. And so if you are a player who is seriously underperforming, you could wipe a raid, or you could be the reason people fail. If you go to a Nagafen raid, right, and someone's not paying attention, and when you guys go to pull Nagafen, this guy just runs up and jumps in the lava and dies, you're not going to wipe. Unless you're doing it with like 18 people, you're not going to wipe. In Depths of Dark Hollow, if you fight Mayong and someone's not paying attention, and he does his death touch emote, and they turn him, and he death touches the whole raid, you're going to wipe, right? Or if they're not paying attention and they don't do their performer keys correctly during the performer raid, and you just lose. You just straight up lose because people weren't paying attention. And you don't really have that same experience in previous expansions. You might have it to like a small degree, but definitely not to the degree that you see in later EQ, where the impact of one player can no longer hide in the numbers. Hey Biggs, we got the Paladin to 41 and then he died in Lower Guck. If you want to check out that final moment with the Pally, you can hit !RIP in the chat. It sucks to lose him, but we had a lot of fun. I'm sort of hoping that we'll just get an egg off one of these guys, even though it says they don't drop it. Yeah, I think the like we see it a little bit in Gates with things like the potion room, the gas chamber in Ukwa, some stuff like that. We see it very clearly in Omens of War with Maram, where he will pick certain players, gaze at them, and if they don't do a certain thing, which is click your mask in time, very simple, but if they don't do it, there's a chance the raid just wipes right there. And so it used to be that, like, if you were monk number 12, dude, you could just hide in the raid. If you didn't create drama, you could slowly collect your loot. Maybe you don't even press flying kick. Maybe you really suck, even though it's really easy to be good back in the day. And no one would notice. People just would not notice. But in the later content, if you're sandbagging it, you will cost your raid the win. Yeah, on like Finny and Cello and Mangler, like someone misses a mask click and tank's like, great, I have to burn like 5 AA on Armor of Experience right now. Or whatever the AA cost was. Silent Wrath, they're really not. I think it's like 80% a joke that people just kind of joked about so much that they believe it. The real reason that Rangers were seen as not great in Classic is because of the EXP penalty versus what they brought to the table. They're not a bad class, but if they're bringing like a 40%, 20% plus EXP penalty to the whole group, because that's how it was, you got to look at what else do they bring to the group to compensate for that. And honestly, it's like not much. So that's bad. It was just bad risk versus reward. But with EXP penalties gone, Rangers are fine. They're not going to be the best DPS in Classic through Velius, but who is, right? Basically just monks. So they do fine. They can tank in a pinch. They can pull aggro like nobody's business for eating DTs. They can kite. They've got some crowd control abilities. But the thing that Rangers suffer from is the same thing that Druids suffer from, which is kind of like they've got a lot of capabilities. They're not the best at any of them. And EQ players currently enjoy metagaming really hard and min-maxing. So it's like, well, if I'm not the best in my desired role, why would I be that class? Hopefully there's no sharks in here. But I think Rangers are a lot of fun. I think they're a high quality class with a good skill ceiling that you can do a lot with. And they do ramp up in power as AA really fleshes them out and they become like that class that can really do ranged melee DPS, which doesn't exist before Lucklin, basically. So yeah, don't discount Rangers. A lot of that is just trash talk. I think Ranger would be a great duo. Ranger's awesome because he can tank at the duo group level just fine, and he's a good DPS. Liak, I want you to know that stopping to guild invite you caused me to miss the boat. Okay, sir? Zygor, were you talking about on the Pally? I was wrecking lower Guck. Pretty much having no problem with it until I suddenly died like an idiot. I think Shaman Ranger would be perfect because Shaman can slow, Shaman has the heals, and they can contribute to DPS a little bit too. Oh yeah, I was in Kerns on this character. I didn't kill the Undead Crusader. I didn't see him up. Hey, that's fine, Jukarkin. The more the merrier. It's not a race. I mean, it's a race because everything in life is a race, but other than that, it's not a race. Dude, I thought Liak was like some enemy that was going to kill me when I swam up there. You look like Santa Claus, Liak. Yo, come on, cast faster. What is she doing? Almost got smoked by that guard. I'd be interested in doing a Zerker, yeah. I've never seen the White Wolf hide girdle drop from Vox on any TLP server I played on, Jones. I'm not sure why it's not there, but I've never seen one in over 10 years. Wonder if I should have clicked Invis before I said South Row. Ooh, we could kill Lockjaw out here. Check this out, the Cayman judges me amiably. He recognizes the scales. You know, real recognizes real. Nah, Silent Wrath, I don't think mana would be a problem. For one thing, like obviously the Shaman's not going to have mana problems, and the Ranger is not going to be using so much mana that you're like really suffering. Oh, the snakes in South Row, like near the Guck area. Yeah, Ender, I use a single PC. Why, Ender? What am I doing wrong? Always a Yordle, thank you so much for the follow. I hope you go on and experience some of that later content that you were thinking about. I see what you're saying. Ender, what's your issue with it? So basically, like I just set my I use headphones and I set my volume for music like relatively low. Still seems loud to me, but I think it's fine for the stream. I haven't had any bad feedback on it in a long time. Then I have a microphone that I talk into. If I don't use the headphones and the music is just coming out of my desktop, then it's a huge issue because when I key up my mic, you'll hear the sound twice. And oh yeah, I forgot that the priests are like randomly indifferent. There's some pretty nasty mobs out here in South Row that I could run into. Like there's like this 30-ish, 33, 30-ish mummy Shadow Knight that paths around like basically the whole zone. I gotta watch out for that. Newbie Leok's only like level 5. He's got no bears. Man, Leok, you really risked a lot coming out here for that guild tag. You're about to get killed by that Puma. I see. Oh, there's a Sand Giant. Man, if my Paladin was on right now, I'd wreck that Sand Giant. Yeah, right. Why don't you just Origin, dude? I'm not sure about the mic quality. I'm using a pretty old microphone. It's a Blue Yeti, like Snowball or whatever. Yeah, I see what you mean, Ender. There's probably some YouTube videos that'll be your best resource for that kind of thing. I know it can be a huge pain at first. I heard rumors that there were snakes over here. Evidence shows that was a lie. Oh, never mind. Speak of the devil. One egg, please. Oh man, you're so lucky to get rooted by the madmen. You know, I feel like there's something different about this than on Eridune. Like, I'm pretty sure I remember this area not being sand. Isn't this normally the grassy part of South Row? What kind of bizarro South Row am I in right now? Right, Zot? Even Norath isn't safe. That is so strange, Leok. There are a lot of good quests in Paniel, but Kazel, but a lot of them are high-level quests. So it might be better to look at Paniel and sort by quests on like Ala or P99 and check it out. Yeah, it's a legacy. It's an Eldon Wonder Bonker. Well, Leok said that on his screen it's grassy here, and he's in the same zone as me. It's just a weird display error, I suppose. Probably messed with my files one too many times. I run this without the patcher, so if something went wrong, it wouldn't correct it on my end. Sicarius Shadow, thank you so much for the sub, man. Very much appreciate your decision to support the stream. Right, Mr. Jones? One too many door tricks. The game's falling apart. Yeah, Kidjan, I've got a Claw 2. I'm rocking it. We actually came all the way to Antonica just so that we could get some eggs, because there's basically no eggs on Freeport, or on Kunark. So we're going to kill some snakes. Hopefully a water moccasin will drop one as well. Johnny V702, thank you for the follow. I don't know if these kind drop eggs. It's not looking good. Nils, I feel like every rogue I know skips it these days, though I haven't done it in a long time. I tend to trust Allah on what exactly drops. I wonder if there's anything cool we should go camp while we're here in the old world. Yeah, I trust Magello more than any other site for drops. I don't even know if there's anything worth getting in Guck. I'll be right back. Don't train me, Kazel. Speak of the devil, Kazel's dead. A really good zone right now for us would be the Warrens. It's just got really great loot. And it's good EXP. I mean, it is technically a Velius zone. Though it unlocks with Lucklin on TLP servers, I think. We never get to play in Warrens on a TLP, basically, because it's super irrelevant by the time it comes out. It looks like the gear there is like mostly kind of like plate class oriented though. Uh, Kijin, we need eggs to craft an item that we need for one of our weapon quests. Yeah, Warrens has a lot of fast runners. They run at like 50% too. Wormican they do in POK, but we're not using POK. Yeah, I'm not totally set on the idea that I even am willing to use the Warrens. I really enjoy the zone though. It definitely skirts the line of whether or not it should be permitted. Yeah, I mean, the Erudites really get shafted in Otis as far as like content availability. The Warrens and even Stonebrute Mountains really help bridge that gap. Tree Snake. Oh, 2, nice. I really just need one, but I failed one of my previous combines on this quest, so I want to get a few just to be safe. At 4, I'll call it good. Holy crap, Mr. Jones. I feel like you've been at that camp for like weeks. Jones, you're a ranger, right? Jeez, that's bad luck, man. That's a lot of failed attempts. It's a good way to keep track, though. Glad they're not lore. Otherwise, you'd have to just guess at how many you killed. Alright, this will be enough. And we're going back. So did he just... well, I guess he dropped the bag for you the first time you killed him? That's a bummer. Alright, so I just need to combine my eggs with a cup of flour and a water flask. The crazy thing about this is, like, noodles is the recommended thing to make all the way up to the trivial of this item I'm trying to make. So this could be bad. I guess I have to go to like an oven. Hey, I'm glad you enjoy it, Mushnar. Yeah, Andrew, you just go kill the high elf, right? And get the guaranteed drop. I really don't get why any Shadow Knights camp it during Classic. At least like the Paladin, you're using it, I assume. This is a pottery thing. Whoops. That's a forge. This is a kiln, right? Yeah. I need an oven. Blunted, I do have a character on P99 green, level 50 Necromancer, and I have a like level 20 Shadow Knight, Troll Shadow Knight that's like all twinked out. But I don't really play there anymore. Ah, yes. It will be easy to find. Baking. Right around here. Big Boombus. Well, the first one for this is that I cannot be a Beastlord on P99. And yeah, I mean, it just wouldn't be as fun, I don't think. I don't know. For some reason that I can't quite place, I just have an aversion to P99. Rob, the shaman died around like level 6 or something. Something stupid in Field of Bone just killed me. It's gonna feel bad when we fail all 4 of these. All right, we're good. Yeah, I'm gonna put this right in the bank. No eat. All right, so now we just have to forge that stupid item that we should have been able to make the first time, and we'll be done. I need to create 2 food items for a guy for one of my quests. In order to get the 3rd claw in my claw quest line, I have to find a an injured, exhausted Beastlord out in the Warslick's Woods, and he will only recover if I give him very specific food and drink. Yeah, there's kind of like a smugness with the whole P99 thing that just rubs me the wrong way a little bit sometimes. And I genuinely believe that, like, as a paladin, SSF, I think it's definitely, honestly slower 1 through 50 on like Aerodune than it would be on P99. Well, I mean, like, spyware, I don't think that P99 is trying to, like, data mine you. I think they're trying to ensure that you are not using software that they deem illegal for the server. They're just enforcing non-cheating. But the EQ community is like there's a lot of people who like to cry a lot in it. So you come to TLP and everyone's crying about people cheating and there being bots. You go to P99, people are crying about GMs being too strict and they're spying on your processes to make sure you're not using show EQ. But yeah, I think P99 has a built-in process monitor. And to be fair, so does real EQ. It's just not really used. What's going on, Acno? You know, I just think there are pros and cons to both servers. And that neither one should really feel like they are superior to the other. Should probably buff my pet. So basically the only thing we need to do now to finish our quest is to forage a rare drop from Field of Bone here. Kind of sucks, but that's all there is to it. I think mage pets are definitely better than Beastlord pets. They're definitely, I don't know, they feel tankier, but I rarely run a mage solo, so it could be hard to compare, I guess. Swanee, I think I'll try to go to 65. We'll see. Not sure, Sicarius. Kunark weapons are already, like, ridiculous. Doing a Kunark enabled solo self-found run is so much easier than doing a classic only. Dude, look at this weapon. This drops off of a level 15 skeleton in Kern's Tower. Now pull up the Ala for a short sword of the Akesha, which drops off of a level 47 undead Shadow Knight that harm touches and procs root on average hits. Look at this. This drops from a level 15 mob. This drops from a level 47 Shadow Knight. Oh, you talking about the Bury Knight thing in the Bazaar window? That was from earlier when I was illustrating that Beast Lords could equip Bury Knight gear. It was also on stream. I didn't enter. What's the reason? I mean, hey, I'm not complaining. I think the Kunark itemization is great. Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. Dude, that's what I'm saying, Mushnar. And I'm like still in the newbie zone, rocking that thing. The club buffs me, not my enemy. Yeah, drag at the XR Berserker Club earlier today. Dude, they should make a really good damage delay weapon that procs complete heal on your target. Ultimate mob roulette. Thank you, thank you. These have big social aggro. Gotta see what quest this is for. This is for the Monk Shackle. Rip Gray. It's like a whole fleet of scaled wolves rolling through. I think there's a named Bury in Field of Bone that can drop good loot too. A Bury Cutter can drop a polished stone anklet, 5 AC, 2 dex, 2 int. A Scourge Tail Scorpion can drop a Scourge Tail Bracer, 4 AC, 2 dex, 2 stamina. And the Carrion Beetle Queen can drop a Carrion Beetle Legs, 7 AC, 5 agility, 5 poison and disease resist. Yeah, Blunted, if you haven't seen that before, I was the server first level 50 on Air, and after getting 50, I gave away my gear and deleted my character. Yep. Yeah, just kind of like a flex. On the 4th of July, myself, Sean, Bobby Bick, Keebs, Melusine, and Pied got together and did another 1 through 50 marathon grind. We streamed the whole thing, so it took us 23 hours and 48 minutes played to do 1 through 50 in that static group with a EXP bonus going. One sec, guys. Quick AFK here. Okay, so the Crypt of Dalnir is the tomb of Haggle Baron Dalnir, right? Who was like a big merchant lord. But there was something else going on there because there ended up being like a faction that worked there and operated out of there. I think led by Ryle Sathir's son, Atrebe. And one of his subordinates was the guy that we talked about in Kern's earlier, who made the visceral dagger. He was there, and he was a forge master. They had like this great magical forge that could enchant magical weapons, like the dagger that they made for Kern, the visceral dagger. And of course, that guy was practicing wizardry, which was like banned. So we touched on this a little bit already, but basically, he had a bunch of Sarnak slaves. I need to focus on not dying for a sec. Hey, Smelly Pirate, thank you for checking it out, man. I hope you enjoy it live. I think we're good here. So yeah, it's the crypt of Dalnir, but I think Atrebe Sathir started doing experiments there much later. And that's kind of why we see all the monsters there, including like the nibblers or just the mouse that float around. Sarnak were of course created by Atrebe. I think they were created in Kern's, according to the Kern's lore, but it seems natural that he would have them there as well. Now his follower was named Dag, and that's the dude who made the visceral dagger, who had the ability to enchant magical weapons and had a great forge that he used. He, of course, was secretly practicing wizardry, which was banned. Contrary to most societies, necromancy was the only acceptable arcane magic in Ixar society. So he was killed, but his followers, his slave Sarnak denizens, were able to escape the clutches of the Ixar, sneak back into Dalnir later, maybe killing everything and taking over. Either way, the head slave of Dag became the Klai Overseer that we know today. And that's why the Klai, a special sect of Sarnak, are in the Crypt of Dalnir, and they're like all wizards and enchanters. Because they learned that magic from Dag before he was killed by Kern. So the lore of Atrebe Sathir, Kern, Dag, and the Crypt of Dalnir are all like closely linked. I don't know exactly what the deal is with them using Hagelbaron Dalnir's crypt as a study/experiment places. I haven't seen anything about it, but I'm going to keep looking into it. And some of that might become clear a little bit further in this run when we go hunt in Dalnir. To go all the way back with Ixar, like a huge amount of the Ixar lore, or like the progression of their species, came about because of Zabuxarok, for those who didn't already know that. Basically, Zabuxarok gave Veneral Sathir, I want to say, the unholy writ of war, which taught him like many of the powers which would eventually enable the Ixar Empire to conquer the majority of Kunark, which would attract the attention of Trakenon, which would lead to their downfall. Woopa, depends on the server. If Ixar are available, I would always say Necromancer should be Ixar. Alternatively, human or erudite. I keep forgetting to forage, even though it's the only reason we're in this zone, getting almost no EXP. Swanee, thank you for the follow. Smelly Pirate, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it, guys. Yeah, Mushnar, it was just a regular grind. It was a power group, you know what I mean? We were designed to do it as fast as possible. I'm good friends with Mel, so I was glad to see that she joined. It didn't surprise me, really, that she did it. I was surprised she was willing to play the same class that she already had a level 50 of, though. I should bind forage to something like that. I should not be an idiot, but here we are. Kidyan, it was Cleric Enchanter, Mage Mage, Mage Mage. Yeah, we all went Dark Elf. So the purpose of that stream was to kind of give people a glimpse into how you would level if the server just came out fresh and you wanted to race to max level. So that's more or less what we did. We deviated ever so slightly in the low 40s because one of the factors that we knew we were going to run into that you don't run into in the real thing is that like a lot of the camps were heavily contested. So Afridi was like pretty locked out to us, and we ended up going to the hole for a couple levels until we wanted to go to until we went to Ocean of Tears. And let's make sure we never forget that Bobby fell asleep at level 48. Yeah, this is a weird model. I feel like this is not a classic, it's not like an original Cunarch model, but maybe it is. Anyone able to confirm? He fell asleep at 48. We kept him in the group. We got him to 49, and he got AFK kicked before 50, though. So now he's got that level 49 mark of shame on his character select forever. Come on, Everquest. I just want you to let me forge this item that I already had that I should have been able to craft successfully because I am over the trivial for it. Have my back here. So it looks like this quest was originally broken, and this mob did not exist when Cunarch came out. So you could only do it the other way by getting the glowing skull to drop in Currents. Okay, so to talk about the history of Lake of Ill-Omen, I think it's maybe more effective for us to really go into the history of Vexar, and it kind of inadvertently tells the story of the Lake of Ill-Omen as well. So Vexar, the city, actually predates the Ixar Empire. It was the city on the lake in the Lake of Ill-Omen. and it was actually created by the Kailong before the Ixar tribes were unified. So later, Veneral Sathir would go and he would unify all the tribes and he would take over the city. But the city of Vexar initially was supposed to be kind of like that ancient city that was destroyed by a volcanic eruption. Am I thinking of Pompeii? Is that it? It was like a pleasure city for the Ixar. And supposedly, it actually survived the fall of Cebalus. It was around the whole time. But later, a dragon named Garudon would go there and basically assault it with him and some minions of his, sinking the city to the depths. Now, Garudon was in the city when it sank, so he died along with it. He died to ensure that he got the revenge he sought and destroyed this major Ixar city. As a result, there's kind of like a dark magical energy that still permeates the place, and you can resurrect Garudon and fight him there. He does like the sort of thing where he'll trick you into resurrecting him and then attack you for doing it. But that same dark magical energy that exists in Vexar is what kind of permeates the lake. And legend has it that young Ixar who are near the Lake of Ill Omen begin to have terrible dreams because of this dark energy that is around the entire area. So that's sort of the lore of the Lake of Ill Omen. It's mostly just a vehicle for housing the lost city of Vexar. Of course, we have the Sarnak in the zone who are there occupying an ancient Ixar outpost. Of course, they did not build that themselves. And we do connect, I think, to the Frontier Mountains. So like there's a lot of goblin caves in the back there. And for whatever reason, Khazak Thul seems to potentially see this as a holy location, as it's been known for him to make appearances there during GM events in the past. And that's pretty much the lore of the Lake of Ill Omen. Yeah, I think Vexar was heavily inspired by Pompeii. Not roots. It's not what we want. I can tell you that the maps of Myrist lists Fededar as a notable NPC in the Lake of Ill Omen, and they say, for ages, this mythical creature has swum the salty waters of the Lake of Ill Omen and the Timorous Deep, feasting upon whatever gets near its jagged teeth, devouring countless unfortunate swimmers, fishermen, and adventurers. In recent times, many adventurers of the Old World have come in search of the watery monster, known as Fededar, hoping to earn legendary status among their own people and repute across the world for having a hand in the death of this fabled nemesis of the deep. There were rumors back when I played as a kid that Fededar would spawn in Lake of Ill Omen, though personally I never saw it. I'm sure a lot of you guys can attest to that fact as well. I don't know if that's strictly a GM event kind of thing, having him spawn there, same as CT, but the rumors were very strong back in the day that Fae would spawn in LOIO. Yeah, I know about that, Mr. Jones. So the maps of Mirist went on to incorporate that into the lore to some extent. Oof, that resist. All right, 10 more seconds until we can forage. That's what I remember too, Mr. Jones. Like, all those outdoor Kunark zones were like the place to be. LOIO over there, those places were slammed all the time. Dreadlands, doing all like the different caves and stuff in the Dreadlands. So I was talking about this with someone the other day. I think that if you look at both classes that were added later in EQ, they kind of steal some of the role that earlier classes should have had, and those are like some of the least played, weakest classes, and by most people's consideration. So I think that what the Beastlord is should have all been factored basically into the Ranger. Like, the Ranger should have had an animal companion. And it would have worked perfectly with a ranged fighting style as well. A ranged melee fighting style with animal companion. And Berserkers came out, and now they're supposed to be like the premier melee DPS, but it kind of just like consumes the role of the rogue. So as much as I am enjoying the Beastlord, I feel like this really should have been like what the Ranger did. And what did they imagine the role of a rogue would be once they introduced Berserkers? Like, what, now they just are subpar DPS that picks locks, can't tank, and disables the one trap that is in each expansion? So, I don't think that they were actually that great back then. Well, yeah, Zerkers can't backstab, but even with backstab, like backstab is strictly a DPS tool, and Zerkers have other tools that make them better DPS than rogues. The number one reason to play a rogue is because someone's got to loot the rogue items. By the time Gates of Discord comes out and you have access to Berserkers, there is really no hide sneak utility. Between Feign Death, Fading Memories, Invis. What are you doing with SOS that another class couldn't do? Other than just like exploring. I don't know, it's hard to say what my favorite class is. I've started to enjoy so many more. Traditionally, it's been the monk. But yeah, back to the idea of the Zems in outdoor zones on Kunark. So if you look at outdoor zones in Kunark and outdoor zones in Classic, outdoor zones in Classic are much more sparse. They're kiting zones, really, right? They're made for people to kite mobs around and not get trained by huge piles of stuff. Now, I remember not leveling in dungeons past the newbie dungeons very much when I was playing Classic, because for most people, I think that dungeons were still pretty scary. Like, I never leveled in Lower Guck or Soul B or even Soul A. I did like Crushbone, Black Burrow, and Unrest. And Unrest was kind of my last big indoor zone. So after that, I stuck to outdoor zones, outdoor camps. And then you go to Kunark and you're doing outdoor zones and outdoor camps again. But they're so much better than the classic outdoor camps. And that's why people saw zones like LOIO and over there as really great EXP. Because you're chain pulling and you're outdoor. But you still probably didn't have a Zem. Unrest has a dungeon Zem. Zars, no. If you want to push to 60 as fast as possible, you should go to Chardok. You should go to the Kennels camp. What's going on, Magic? The Beastlord early levels I think were a little bit harder than the Paladin, but maybe I'm just misremembering. I just think it's because Field of Bone is so much more dangerous. But I mean, there's no question that Beastlord is far easier than the Paladin. The weapons I have access to in Kunark as well are like already better than the top weapons I had on the Paladin. We were going over this before, like, this is better than a Yak. The ratio on this is like basically a Ghoulbane. This is basically Ghoulbane. And it drops from a level 15 NPC in Kunark. Cretan Enchanter, I would not go Charisma, I'd go Intelligence and Stamina. Nice, dude. Congratulations, Gypsy. That mob is nasty because you'll be fighting him and you think you have him well in hand, and then he gets 1 or 2 procs and suddenly, like, it becomes a real problem. We are 1 lucky forage away from the level 3 claw. Yeah, Mushnar, you want to work on your Chardock faction as quickly as possible. The Spirit Racked Cord is the #1 thing you can do, along with your Epic during Kunark. What class are you? Turn up. The mob is level 15. I'm level 17. I killed him when he was yellow, but still. Yeah, so as a ranger, you're going to want to get the Spirit Racked Cord. You're going to want to finish your Epic. Those are the 2 biggest things. I wouldn't worry about the VP key too much. No. Yeah, he would have wrecked me at level 10. Getting a fungi tunic and a fungi covered great staff, if you can, a pre-nerf fungi staff would be a huge priority to me. So you want to look up the Chardock faction quest for the Spirit Racked Cord. As soon as Kunark comes out, if you're not busy raiding, you want to be working on your faction with Chardock by farming goblin skins and salts, so that you can get started on that quest line immediately. You want to get your Howling Stones key, which means you're going to have to kill Zalgaz, and Kesora. That's an easy one. More difficult would be getting your Jade Chocodile prod from Lake of Ill-Omen. You're going to need that to finish your quest anyway, because you're going to have to kill Drusilla Sathir and Howling Stones. So make sure you get that key. Jugs can drop the guts, yeah. So in support of getting all those goals accomplished, I would avoid grinding in Chardock, because you'll have to do a bigger grind to fix your faction. Instead, I would grind at fungus covered camp. I would do shrooms and jugs. That way you'll get your tunic, you'll get your staff, and you'll get your undead dragon guts, your Spirit Racked Cord pre-quest item, all in that single camp on the way to 60. But be ready for it to be a very cancerous experience attempting to do that turn in. There are several steps where the mobs are like three-day timers, and it's going to be contested by everybody. There's one where you just hand in an item, and when you hand it in, the mob despawns for at least 24 hours. And every time I've done it on TLPs, there's like 6 other people standing there with me, and I'm just like, you just tape your eyes open and stare at an empty corner. I think there was a trick we would do to get 2 items on our cursor so that we could click really fast. I forget what we would do. You hand your stuff to like a pet, and he'll give you both items back, and you'll have 2 on your cursor. Something like that. Yeah, the Undead Dragon Sinew. Thanks, Kijin. That is like step 2 or 3 of the Spirit Rack Cord quest. So the first part is pretty easy. The second one is that 24-hour hand-in. The third one is a 72-hour hand-in where you have to kill a mob. And that's in like the Frontier Mountains. So that one's going to be hard. The 72-hour one is traditionally the worst part. And then finally, you're going to have to kill Drusilla Sathir, who is in the Howling Stones, which is why you'll need that key. And you'll need to get a Spirit Racked Cord from her. People are going to tell you different spawn timers on her. They're probably lying. Here's the real Drusilla Sathir spawn timer. 16 to 24 hours. People are going to be like, yeah, it's 3 days, and you'll show up every 3 days looking for her, and you're never going to find her up. She is a 1-group mob. I think she might have mitigation on the Mighty, I don't remember. But there is an AOC for Howling Stones now. So that'll help mitigate that a little bit. The best thing you could possibly do is knock out the most cancerous parts of that quest while everyone else is bothering with level 60 and VP keys. Which just means doing the faction as quickly as possible. If she doesn't have MOTM, she would spawn in pick zones. That said, I've never seen enough people in the zone to generate a pick. I've usually seen like sub 10 people in the zone. And who knows what her time is on zone pop. Probably lengthy. Yeah, there's an agent of change. So you could do it with 6 people. It's just going to take you 6 weeks. But she doesn't always drop the urn. So it could take you 12 weeks, at which point you're in Velius. Mushnar, I think that's a great goal, and I would love for that to be the reality, but I have to say that I think it's unlikely that Eridan will make it all the way to live with a population intact. Hey, good morning, Frank. How's it going, dude? We're looking at what, like five years for Aerodune to hit live? If they shut down EQ, I'm gonna make a emulated server. That's gonna be like what EQ would have been, unbound by budgetary concerns. Man, I'm having really terrible luck with this forage. Charm, this is a terrible spot to level. I'm here because one of the items I need for my quest can only be foraged over here. And so I figure I'll just kill some NPCs while I'm trying to forage it. Oh, you'll definitely make it that far, Mushnar. Well, Yams, I don't know if you're playing one right now, but if you're just watching me, don't judge too much based on this. I'm farming like things 6 levels below me. It's definitely a lot better than a Paladin was for this kind of gameplay. And like we said, having Kunark unlocked just changes a lot in terms of power scaling. Frank, you can't be mad because you weren't there in the chat to advise me when my Paladin was dying. If you were there, I would have survived. You would have said, Zaide, don't be an idiot. Just use your full IV hoop and you will trivialize this encounter. But no one said it. Everyone just spammed death emotes. Basically, the majority of Sky loot I think is better than Kunark loot. You almost have to look at Sky as a Kunark raid zone because it came out very close to Kunark. I mean, for one thing, Faradar's teleport pad in Vishan's Peak literally leads to Plane of Sky, almost suggesting that you kill PD and then port up to Sky and continue further raid progression. No, Sky Haste items tend to be 41%, which is the best that you'll get outside of Hoshkar boots until Velius, Mushnar. For most classes, 41% haste from Sky is the best haste that they can get until Velius, I think. But the trash belts from Sky drop like candy, and it's the #1 reason you should never buy an FPSS from some chrono farmer. Because for 100 plat, you can port up to Plane of Sky and solo ferries, get a haste belt. Or just join one raid where they'll rot after like the first week. Yeah, so non-pure melee get 16%ers. Pure melee get 21%ers. So like Monk, Rogue, Warrior, I believe all get 21% raw haste belts. And they have stats too. Got to get that Shaman ring. What's that called? The Dwenin Ring of Shielding with the Feign Death proc? Or not proc, the Feign Death clicky? That's awesome. You can't recharge Sky Gear on modern TLP servers, right? Oh, you can? Nice. Ding 18. Feels good, feels good. We'll do one more forge attempt for today. Oh, that's awesome, Rob. All right, here we go. The last forge attempt of the stream. 10 seconds. Drum roll. Pot of water. Oh, baby. All right, guys, that's gonna be it for us today. I'll be back on tomorrow, no doubt. So we'll have a lot more fun with the Beastlord. For now, we're gonna raid Sean, so stick around for that. You too. Thanks for coming out, everybody. Here we go.
I have forgotten myself, to be honest with you. Zaide, hello.